Hey everybody, it's Anne Lewis, your independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based on the Sunshine Coast here in Brisbane, Australia. Please let me know if you can hear and see me, and if you can't hear me because I've been having a little bit of a glitch, please leave a message so I can actually fix it up. Thanks everybody for joining me. It's State of Origin tonight, so I'm wearing my maroon jacket. And for those who don't come from Queensland or New South Wales, it's a football match between states, and it's a pretty big deal, and it's the decider tonight. So I changed things up a little bit, and I'll explain that in a second. Now, a little bit about me. I teach card making and scrapbooking and love sharing my passion with you. In tonight's step-by-step video, I will be sharing some of my favourite tips and tricks to make your card making even more fun. All the products that I am using tonight are available from my online store. And let me know where you're watching from, what you like, and if you like the products that I'm sharing tonight, please like the video. Well, not the products, the projects. Like my video, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook Live. Now, Sharon, hi, how are you? If you can hear me, can you please let me know? Because I've been having a little bit of trouble with sound, getting the sound connected tonight. So hopefully it is all go. So just let me know. Hi, Myrtle. Ideo. This is the card I'm going to be showing you tonight. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about it in a second. I was originally going to do both, but it is State of Origin, and this is a stepped up card, and it was going to take a little longer than probably we had. It's a beautiful card. It's got so much texture. It's called a floating card, and I'll show you how to do this card. So part 2 of this video will be next week on Wednesday night. Now, I still haven't had anybody tell me that they can hear me, so please let me know. Hi, Glenda. How are you? Ideo. So this is the card that I am going to be demonstrating tonight. Oh, thank you, Sharon. I needed to know that. So this is the card that I'm showcasing. I've kind of done it in Christmas colours, seeing it's July, so I thought I'd do a Christmas in July card. And I'll show you the products that I'm using. Oops, I've got to reach a fair distance. Now, there was a little bit of rearranging. I'm back sitting down, but I had to, and I know all you cat lovers will not be surprised by this at all. I had to reclaim my chair because Kiko has decided that if I'm in the craft room, that's for her. But really, I get tired if I have to keep standing up. So she's not happy. She's kind of locked out. I'm not sure how locked out. And yes, as you probably guessed, she is already boss of the house. Now, I will show you what the products are because they're a little different than what I normally show. So this is the embossing folder, and I'm hoping that you will be able to see, and I'll be able to show you how this embosses. It's a 3D embossing folder, but it has something that most of our embossing folders don't have, and this is what makes it the hybrid. It has a matching die that sits in here. Always takes me a little while to work out how this works. So it sits like that in there so that you can actually emboss and die cut at the same time, which is how I got this gorgeous, don't worry about the colour, I'll show you how I did that as well, how I got all this in texture on my project. And it turns out amazing. So This is the Changing Leaves hybrid embossing folder. It does come with a few other dies. I love this. I've used this in project number 2, which is next week's. Hi, Marianne. Oh dear. So I'll put those out of the way for the moment. I'll show you this now. That's using the embossing folder on the envelope. So now I have a matching envelope as well as the card. And I love these colours, I have to be honest. So let's get started, because I use a couple of, it is a technique project. I've got a fairly, I've got a fairly big piece of basic white cardstock, which is, I might just get my ruler. I probably don't need it this big, but I'm going to err on the side of caution, which is 6.5. I could do it 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. So let's get started. I'm going to be using a technique I haven't shown you or haven't demonstrated on a live forever. I'm going to use, I don't know what the official name is, but swiping ink pads across my cardstock. So I'm using the colours Cherry Cobbler, Wild Wheat, Mossy Meadow and Old Olive. So it does have a little bit of a Christmas theme. You're going to love this technique because it's so easy. Hence why I picked it for State of Origin, right? Now I do have a fair bit to cover. Hopefully I've got enough ink in these ink pads to cover all of that. I've got a few purposes for this entire sheet. When I first did it, it was a lot smaller sheet, but I've decided to make it a little bit bigger. Now, all I've done is open up the ink pad, and you've got 2 ends to the ink pad. You've got 2 sides, 2 ends, but you're going to pick the end without this piece here. So it's hardly got it's just got a little tiny piece of the case on this end. To show you, compared to this end, you can see this is 6. So you don't want to use this end, you want to use this. Now, what you're trying to do is just gently, you're not pressing and you're not tapping. You could tap, different technique, and you're just going to run it across. There is no right or wrong, so don't start getting, don't start worrying about how it looks. And you'll see that mine won't look really good. It just works really well with this project. So I'm just going to put a few layers down in a few different places. And I wanted a little bit more red than I used in the first one, because as you see, in my first one I mainly got the green. Each one of these will be a little different. So the next one I'm going to use is the Old Olive. Again, same end. I'm going to do a little overlap. Ooh, we haven't got a lot of ink in this. You could have done with a little bit more ink. In fact, it could have done with a lot more ink. We'll see how this goes. The next colour is Mossy Meadow, which is a bit stiff to open. And I'm really going to add a little bit more ink. Now the texture doesn't matter, and you'll understand the why. I've just gone over that a little bit and got a little bit more on my hand, as you would expect. Then I'm just going to add some of the wild wheat to add a little, look at that, a little bit more texture. The one with all the ink is the one I put my hand into, of course. Anyway, that's why I have a stamping chamois. I have been playing with ink pads most of the afternoon. So however you do this, it'll turn out a little different. So I'm just going to add a little bit of yellow tone, well, the wild wheat tone, in a few places. So it's got a fair bit of ink on it in some places and not a lot in others. So I'm going to, now I've got to cut this down now, so it'll go through the Cut and Emboss machine, which I can keep it at 8.5 inches, but it can only be, and I'll just grab this, well, it can really only be the width of my plate. Just to show you how I get to this, it is 6 inches. So I have to cut some pieces down to 6 inches, but I've got to decide what I'm going to put on the back. I'm going to do the envelope a little different. So I'm going to grab my trimmer and cut off 2.5 inches. Now I could have put a bit more red down here, and I might see if I can squeeze a little bit more red just down here, just so it's not all green. I know that doesn't look very nice, and that's okay. It's how it turns out, not how it looks in this piece. So I'm just going to cut off 2.5 inches. Oops. All right. And my trimmer. Who's watching State of Origin tonight? Need to spotlight your table. Thank you, Sharon. I've forgotten. Thank you. And it's seized. Ah, I don't. Hideout, can you see me again? Hideout, hopefully, let me know if you can see and hear me, because I had to it actually dropped completely out. Me already flag at the front, so yes, you are watching State of Origin. So can someone just let me know if if you can back seeing me? All good, thank you. I don't know really what happened then. Had a little bit of a SPAC attack, but it was actually quite easy to reconnect, which it isn't always. So I'm putting the die in here, and when you line it up and you can see it, there's actually a ridge that holds it into place. I'll then place this on this side. It's going to put it, see my stripes are going fairly uniform, but because this is on an angle, that won't be the case. I'll close this up, put it over like that, keep it closely closed. Bring my, oh, I'm going to get rid of that paper, otherwise it'll slide everywhere. Thanks, everybody. That was a little easier for a disaster than I thought it was going to be. So, a hybrid embossing folder. You're going to need your platform and nothing else other than your acrylic plate. I've got all mine. Oh, yeah. I'll use the one number 3 if you've got a cut and emboss plate. I've got lots of plates that are all done differently. So, and this is all you're going to put through. So you don't need your thin die adapter. Because it's thicker than, oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I am going to need, I use my other machine. So So on this one, I'm going to have to use the embossing plate. Oh, that was a test for my arm. I know, it'll crack and creak because it's very thick. I'm just going to get rid of that for a second. And we'll bring this back. Bring my piece of white paper back. And I'll just show you. So it's cut. So this one will turn out different than the other one. So I'll just put this out of the way so I don't lose it. So you can see it's embossed the entire sheet, and you will see that it's embossed these beautifully. So not only have they got that unique colouring on them that I've done, they've also now got that embossing, and it's been nicely die cut. So this is the original one. As you see, it's completely different colour, which is what you'd expect if you're using ink swipes. And I'll grab my, oops, just drew a light out of the way. Let's bring it back. I'll leave my card there. So I've got a Mossy Meadow card base. Just going to fold it into two. Here's my bone folder. So my card base is 8 1/4 by 5 1/2, 8 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches, and I've added 2 layers, being the old olive. So these are the colours I used in the ink, and also the real red. Sorry, the cherry cobbler. But I just want to show you how the embossing folder works on its own. So I'm going to bring back. Shouldn't have brought that white paper back down, could I? Should I? Let's throw this down. So this is the embossing folder. I'll throw in the cherry cobbler ink cardstock, so you can see. Now I get to pick where it sits. Doesn't matter. No, I don't think it does. And how I've got my card, I don't think it matters in the least. So this time I'm going to use the platform. I don't think I need the thin die adapter. We'll just see. I think this is enough. I used a different machine. They're all slightly different. So let's see how this turned out. Yep, it's perfect. That's all I'm going to need. Put back my cardstock. So hopefully you can see how gorgeous this embossed layer is. It's a 3D embossing layer. So you've got 2 sides, and they're completely different, as you see. I'm going to be using this side, but some people will go, oh, this is my favourite, this side. So this is how the card comes together, like this. But let's put those layers on first. So not as red as the first one, but as I said, everyone turns out a little different. And I get to play with how I would like it. Maybe I'll set it a little different this time. Put this one on top because it was a little redder. Picks up the red tones a little better. So I'll pop up this one first using some dimensionals. When I've got some Yeah. So I wanted a fair bit of texture on this. Now I leave this and I'll secure it a little later. I'll grab my, take a pick tool, makes it a little easier for me. My bin's not as close as it normally is. So is New South Wales or Queensland going to win tonight? I think most of you are coming from Queensland, but some of you, there's some rogue New South Wales people supporters who live in Queensland. So let's just decide how this is going to go. Oh, I want it on the other side, flat side, well, the deboss side. Do it like that. Nobody's declaring whether they're Queensland supporters. I hope Queensland do. Are you feeling confident, Glenda? So I'm not going to stick that down yet. I'll add some dimensions here as well. Actually, I didn't mean to do that. Did not mean to do that. What I was going to do is only have it one layer, but now I will have it multiple layers. Let's see how this is going to go. Need another one down there. I would have just used some multi-purpose glue. So there we go. Put that like that. And try and I have to go under. Has to go under, I think. It's not going to turn out anything like the other one, but that's okay. So there's that. Now I've got, I won't say a mess, but it's not as neat as I would like it down the bottom here. Neither was my first one. So we always have ways of tidying that up. One is with the sentiment, and two, I have some of my favourite thread, which is linen thread, which has been around, I think, for as long as I've been a demonstrator. So that's, I don't know, 12, 13 years. Just looking for my scissors. And this is a card that I would use for neutral. On the second card for next week, as you'll see, completely different card. I used just our normal white twine. So now I don't get too excited by how I do I make it messy, so don't need it perfect. I want it showing out, so I'm going to get some of my glue dots. Got another packet, so I'm not too worried. So I'm going to put some glue dots on top to hold the shape of what I've done there. Hi, Glenda. Sorry, Glenda Small. Bear said, hope so. Don't want another flogging. That's true. It was a little embarrassing, the last one. But I always have lots of faith in what we end up doing. We've got a lot of spirit, but so do New South Wales. So then I've just turned it over and I'll add a couple more glue dots. This just holds it together. I've got still got other stuff to hold it together, but this is just the way I get it together. And I can trim it up. I can do whatever I like here. I don't want it too neat and tidy. Now I've got a sentiment, I haven't stamped it yet. So I'm going to decide how I'm going to do that, but I'll put this here and hide where all those joins go. And as with all card making, and probably all crafting, it's not until you finish that you see how it all comes together. Sometimes it looks a little messy. So I am using now the Simply Said, which I have to say is the stamp set out of the annual catalogue. It's right at the start of the catalogue. It's in the easy section, but it's got these beautiful sentiments, and I've picked Let's Celebrate. I'm going to do that in Cherry Cobbler, just making sure. I hadn't used Cherry Cobbler for ages. Now I'm back into it big time. So I've already die cut, and I'll show you the die cut that I used in a second. So I'm just going to place this down. It's pretty easy. It's a clear stamp, so I should be able to get it in the middle. Stamps beautifully. Oh, there you go. Now I wanted to do just a little bit, something a little different. So I'm going to get my bone folder and shape the sentiment in both directions. Then turn it back so it flicks up a little bit. You only want to do this gently. Don't want to get too carried away. Then it's got a little carried away. So it's going to add a little bit of texture. So when you see this, you know that it's only going to be stuck down there and there. So I'm going to do that with glue dots. Depending on how you do, I can do a mini glue dot in the center if I want to. Got any mini glue dots sitting nice and handy? Look at this brand new sheet, which is not. Got lots of not so new sheets. Let's just start a new one because it was easy to grab. So I'll put this one in the center to hold it up. Then I'll add my nearly out glue dot on the valley of where I added a bit of a curve by using the bone folder. There we go. I could do it at a bit of an angle. Let's see. Sorry, I was trying to throw something in the opening pad here. Always a disaster. I think straight or crooked. I can't wait for an answer, so I'm going to go crooked, but let me know if you would have put it on straight. There we go. So it looks a little different than the first one. There it is. It's done and dusted. Let's glue these layers together. Then I'll show you what I'm going to do. Of course, it's embossed. I always put lots of glue on. And for those that follow me, would probably say, and you use lots of glue all the time. Now, I'm not going to pop this up because I've already got a fair bit of thickness on that very top layer here. I think there's enough texture on it. So straight, crooked, on an angle, straight. See, card making is so individual. Everybody would do it differently. And as you probably see, I've done one straight and one crooked. And in one way, it depends on how that die cut sits. Now let's put this together. And then I'll show you what I did on the inside. I've lost a piece. You know that piece I cut off? It's warped. Let's clean up my desk just a little bit. Oh, here it is. Here's this piece. So I've got this piece left over. And that's the piece that I die cut before. So let's open this up. Add this. But I want to add just a little strip like I have on this one. It'll look completely different. So I'm using all this piece. So I'm going to go back to this embossed piece. I'll grab my trimmer. And I'm going to cut. We'll see how much I can get off. I'm going to go for 3/4. I'm not sure there'll be enough there. Might have to use another piece. Oh, wait a minute. Now I know this piece is 3 3/4. So I'm hoping, oh, look at that. Just makes it. Meant to be. Hopefully I've got that measurement right. Otherwise, I'm going to have to be a little inventive. So I'm just going to add that there. Perfect. So it just brings that front layer into the insert. Oh, there's my glue there. It's hiding. I think this is just about finished, this one. This is going to be really simple. I get to choose which direction it goes. If I haven't cut it perfectly, like this one, I can just trim that off just a bit. I need sentiment, and I've used the sentiment from one of the online exclusives. So this Changing Leaves, the stamp set, and also the hybrid embossing folder is also an online exclusive, which means it's not in one of our catalogues, but it is available from my online store. So one of the new products just released is Greetings of the Season. So it's perfect for Christmas in July. So I thought I would make this a Christmas card. You'll see how quick this comes together. So it's the most wonderful time of the year. Love the font. Stamps beautifully. Let's just throw this together. So anyone going for New South Wales, anyone game enough to let us know. We won't boo you because we know you've got to support your local team or whoever you feel for. So this card is a simple card using quite a few little techniques. How nice does that look? It really finishes it off. Then I should have an envelope here, which I do. And then I'm going to put this over the back to tie it all together. So the way I do it is I just run a thin bead of adhesive around the flap. Doesn't have to be a lot. Don't forget it's bonus days for the month of July, which means that if you place an order with me and it's $90, you get a $9 coupon that you can spend in August. I'm trying to do about 4 things at once here that you can spend in August. So for a $90 order, or for every $90 in your order, you get a $9 coupon. That's pretty exciting. So all I do is then use the flap of my envelope as a template and cut it around. Normally I use my big scissors, and makes it a bit quicker. And you'll see how this card comes together. So wait for next week's though, because it is the wow. It is full of techniques, and it's one of those cards that every card maker will look at and go, how the heck did you do that? But it's not difficult. So there's the flap, there's the card, and this is the one that I did as my sample, and it's got the embossed. Now let's put them like this, not like this. So as you see, they'll always be different. It's kind of that handmade thing. Actually, I've noticed I've actually even put the embossing folder up a different direction. So which do you like in the envelopes? The embossed, which is very classic, or do you like it tying in with the card colours and using that on the flap? Number 2, just love it. The colours have grown on me. Love the curved and crooked sentiment. Thank you, Marianne. So, as you see, easy card. I think it's got the wow factor, and it uses the number 2. And it uses the hybrid embossing folder, the Changing Leaves hybrid embossing folder. That's hard to say at the end of the day. And there's so many different techniques that you can use. Now, if I just sneak this one away, and I'm going to come back in there, and look at the difference, like a completely different style of card. I'm reading Glenda's comments. Number 2 look better than number 1. Isn't that interesting? I kind of like number 1 a little better, but I think because it's a little cleaner, and I'm more, rather than mixing colours, I like the clean colours. But look how bright and beautiful this card is. And I think I love this card. And I think, Marianne, this is going to be one of my class cards coming up next Sunday. So you'll be actually be making this. Ideo, I will see you next Wednesday, and I'll show you how to make this card. It is really technique heavy. So I know it doesn't in this, when you see it flat like this, it's a little hard to pick up what techniques are used, but you'll be surprised by how many techniques are actually involved in this, and you can make it with your own colours. So I'll see you next week. Already done my project for next week, and thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget, it is bonus coupon month that if you purchase if you place a $90 order, or for every $90 order that you place, or every part, you know what I mean, you'll get a $9 coupon to spend in August. So thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you joining me. I'm glad you like this. And wait a minute, excuse me. Kylie Jean has just blown me out of the water. She's mentioned the word purple. You couldn't possibly do this card in purple, could you, Kylie Jean? You say, of course I could. Actually, I've been picking up a bit of purple lately, so I think I might be shifting to a bit of a purple streak. Thanks, everybody. Go the Maroons. I hope you play really, really well. And you win, of course, but at least play well. Thanks, everybody. Really fabulous having you here. And I better go and get on to cheering for Queensland. Bye for now. Have a great night.